Alright, so here we are on a lovely Sunday afternoon, and I need to tend to the garden. There's a ton of tomatoes, zucchinis, and I really need to kind of keep up with it and harvest everything. Since the last video, our chickens, our curious chickens, have gotten into our garden and just decimated everything. We had some really cute cucumber plants that were growing, they were mid-size, and they're gone. They ate them completely down to the stub. Not only that, but they absolutely love eating our zucchini plants, mainly just the leaves. So you can see here, there's really not much left of these poor zook plants. We may need to plant a fall crop because these ones are just pretty much gone. Our girls are now about 3 months old, so they're getting their big wings, and quite frankly, they can just fly over this little chicken wire fence that we've built. It's no longer an issue for them or a barrier. So where before they used to just eat it through the fence and just pick off a little bit of bites of leaves here and there, now they're actually just getting in and doing whatever they want. These girls are full on mini T-Rexes, just coming in and desecrating everything. So, all right, let's start pulling some of these beautiful tomatoes. So first up, we've got some German Queens. These are heirloom tomatoes. And I'm just gonna go ahead and saw right through this. I like to take them with the stem so that if there's any part of the tomato that isn't fully ripened, they'll actually pull all the nutrients that they need from the stem and fully ripen while still on the vine on our countertop. And since I'll be out of town for a couple of days, it's really important to me that these babies still have some time to ripen further. Towards the end of the season, my other little helpful tip to you would be if your tomatoes start getting early blight or they start getting any kind of fungus where it's getting cold and they're dying, you can actually cut tomatoes off. Even if they're green like this, just cut off enough branch and they'll actually ripen on their own. Put them in a paper bag and the branch will provide all the nutrients they need to help them ripen. So don't fret if it's towards the end of the season and all your stuff hasn't ripened just yet. I'm going to pull off a few more of these Cherokee purple tomatoes. These are also heirlooms. I'm kind of a tomato snob and I really only like it when I get heirloom tomatoes. Now one thing you'll notice is when they are ripe, you can just snap them off right at their elbow here. You shouldn't actually have to use a knife or anything unless you're cutting off an entire limb with tomatoes. So you can see here there's a little elbow right here, and I'll just snap it off right at the elbow. Shouldn't need any. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful tomato. Look at that. It's probably a good pound and a half. It's pretty heavy. All right. I've got a funny zook right here that I need to pull off. Look at that. Now, if you're wondering why it's shaped like this, it's actually completely my fault. It's a product of inconsistent watering. So you can always tell if it's been consistently watered because it'll carry a consistent shape. The only time that's not true is if you're growing crookneck. Because our chickens have been curious Georges and have gotten into the garden, they have really started kind of pecking at all of our really good zooks. So unfortunately, most of these are going to have to come off today because they've already started eating them, these greedy chickens. You can see here they started kind of pecking it already. But apparently what's ours is theirs, and this garden is just meant for them to eat. So we're going to have to take some precautions and clip some wings and seal this up a little better so that the next zooks who grow in have a better chance of surviving. Alright, so we have a 3-month-old black Australorp here. She keeps flying over our little garden's fence here. So what we need to do is actually just clip her wings. Best way to clip a chicken's wings is to just hold them just like this, make them feel safe, pull out their wing, feel where their meat is and where their bones kind of are, and you want to clip about at least an inch away from that. Clip any closer than that and then you can kind of hurt them. It's really sensitive, especially when their new feathers are growing in. And when they get older, you can just clip one side, but when they're young like this, they're really thin and they don't have a lot of meat on their bones yet. So you kind of have to clip both sides. Otherwise, they can just get up and fly right back in again. But it takes 2 seconds and it really kind of prevents them from getting into shenanigans. All right, so here we have our harvest for today. We pull off about the same amount of produce a couple times a week from our 3 tomato plants and 3 zucchini plants. We've got probably about 10 pounds worth of produce here. Now, we like tomatoes just as much as the next guy, but we can't eat all this in just, a couple of days. So for the most part, what we'll do is we'll actually just freeze it. And the great thing about tomatoes is they freeze really well. So we'll throw this in the freezer, and during the winter, this is going to go great with our Cornish cross chickens that we've culled and we've grown ourselves to make a beautiful chicken soup in the winter. Another thing that we really love about gardening is these guys. They climb into our garden, even in the off season when there's nothing there. They scratch, they peck, they aerate the soil, they're pooping in there, and just helping the soil with nitrates. That's all they do. They're just 24/7 workers, and they just work in the garden and till the soil. And when you're gardening over and over again in the same area, you tend to lose nutrients, right? Because all those nutrients are going straight into the plants that you're growing. Well, these guys are putting it straight back in. And since we feed them nothing but organic, non-corn, non-soy, no GMO, millet feed, they're really just putting all their best nutrients right back into the soil, helping us to grow all these beauties. So thanks, chickens.